Good morning, Tom Galuccio here, October 30th, 2024. I have the pleasure of the company of Byron Brown this morning. Good morning, Byron. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So this is an ongoing episode of Reflections, our oral history project sponsored by the Westerly Historical Society. And on that note, we'd like to know a little bit about Byron Brown and how you came to be, and tell us about your grandparents and parents, and start with there, growing up.
Well, first off, I was born December 11, 1938, in the village of White Rock. I was not born in a hospital, I was born in a house. And I'm one of 13 children of my father, Raymond Brown, and my mother, Myra Brown. Brown married Brown. I attended White Rock School. I was 4 years old. Probably one of the earliest kids to go to school, because back in the day, you could go to school, like I'm born in December, and I'm going to be 5 in December. But school started in September, so I'm only 4 when I started school. And it was the White Rock School is no longer there, it's gone. But there was first, second, third grade was in one room with Helen McCarthy as the teacher. And there was a third and fourth and fifth grade was in another room by Mrs. Kennedy. I can recall being in that first grade. There was 3 kids in the class, and the 2 that was in the class with me, they've passed away at this time, and Creator, I guess, has kept me here for one reason or another. But from that school, we went up to High Street School, 2nd grade to the 6th grade, and that's where I met people from many walks of life, because in White Rock, it's just a real small village. You probably knew 20, 30 people. But by being in school up the High Street, it was probably 30, 40 kids in a class. And we kind of traveled with one another all the way through high school. I went from High Street School to Babcock Junior High. From junior high, I went to Westerly High School, and I think that's where I kind of made a mark on myself in life. I was one of the front runners on a football team, baseball team, but I really got my start in Little League baseball. I was 11 years old, and I made the farm system my first year. And the second year, I made a baseball team, which they call the Sportsman's Club, and we won the championship. I brought that picture with me today to show who the players were. And I also pitched in the YMCA League. I pitched in Elks had a league, and I don't know if I get them right, but the name of the Elks League was Charity. But then I think there's Fidelity, there's 4 different, I don't know what it is, but there's 4 different organizations within the Elks, I guess. But Charity was the one that I played for, and we won that championship. But the sad thing is that I was pitching 2 and 3 days a week, and I was throwing a curveball. By the time I got to high school, my arm was about shot. They kind of, wore me out. I was pitching, too many days, but I still played, and I did, quite well all through high school. High school took me into the service, and I believe that was 1962. I got drafted into the service. When I got out of high school, there was about 8 or 9 of us that went to Providence. We were all going to join the service together. I got up there, they told me that I had a slight murmur of the heart, and I couldn't go into service. I told them, I said, I played football, baseball all the way through high school in great shape. So I didn't go. All my buddies went off to the service. I come back home, and I think it was about a year or so later, a couple other guys were going into service, my cousins, as a matter of fact. I went up with them, and they turned around and told me I was colorblind, couldn't go into service. So I said, what the heck, I might as well get married, right? I got married in 1960 to my wife, Pearl, at the Central Baptist Church. And I think we were married for about 4 or 5 months, and I get a letter, I think it says from the greetings, I can't remember the exact words, but greetings from, United States government, I guess. They drafted me into the service. I go up to Providence, and I'm colorblind. And they put a basket in front of me with, I think it was little balls of cotton, I guess. And one was black, the other was red, and one was blue. And the guy says, take all the red ones out of the box. So I picked them all out of the basket, set them on the table, right? And he said, hey, are you a wise guy or what? He said, I told you to take all the red ones out. So he put them all back in the basket. And to me, they're all red. So I picked them, put them on the table again. He says, well, we're going to send you down to Fort Dix, New Jersey. If they think you're colorblind down there, good luck. They'll send you back home. Never gave me a test down there. So I went all the way through the service, and things just worked out, great for me. I got down to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and I'm 21 at the time. Most of the guys in there were 17, 18, 19-year-old. Christ, they're all crying. They want to go home. They miss their mother. It was kind of a crazy thing. But this is drafty time where you didn't have much choice. They took you, went. They ended up making me a temporary sergeant after 2 weeks being at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I'm hurting because I want to be home with my wife, but I got to kind of baby all these guys, take them on the hand, right? But it worked out good. So they finally turned around and said, Mr. Brown, we're going to send you to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. That's the land of the Indians. They're sending me right to my hometown, right where I want to be. I get out to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I went through I think it was they call it the howitzer. It was a missile, a howitzer type thing where you put the shells in and they send off shells, I guess, right now. I completed that class. I ended up being a telephone operator and a cannoneer operator. They put me into a missile outfit. And that was kind of like history to me. You have to walk guard duty when you're in the service. And Fort Sill, Oklahoma's got a lot of mountains all around it. And that wind, they call it the hawk out there. The wind comes down off the mountains and it's cold at night. So we line up, everybody, there's about 10 or 12 guys line up for guard duty. And a guy walks up to you and he asks you what's your name, and you tell him your name and asks you what you know about your general orders. And I'm just saying, my name, sir, my name's Byron Brown, speaking all soft and whatnot. He finally gets to a couple guys behind me, and he asks the guy what his name is. The guy shouted, my name is, and he screamed it right out. What's your general order? And the guy ripped it right off. He says, outstanding guard. So I went back to I walked to duty that night, and it was cold out there, right? So about a couple weeks later, I get guard duty again, but in the meantime, I went back and I studied my bylaws, right? I knew them frontwards and backwards. When that guy got in front of me, I ripped my name out, outstanding guard, 4 times in a row. I made it. So, but my paper I'm going to show you, it says 3. They lied, but I know it was 4 times that I made outstanding guard. So I'm in a missile outfit now, and the sergeant major, if you know who he is, he's a real rough type guy talking. He turns around, he calls my name over a loudspeaker. He says, PFC Brown, report to my office immediately. And boy, when he says that, you run. You don't wait on this guy. He goes down there and he turns around. He says, the colonel wants to talk to you. Here I am, a little patrolman, and I'm a little PFC, and here's a big colonel. I got to talk to this guy, right? He says, when you go in, you make sure you salute him. And don't drop that salute until he salutes you back, right? So I walked in, I put the salute up and told him my name and whatnot, and he saluted me back, and he said, have a seat, Mr. Brown. I sat down, I figured, I'm in big trouble now, and I don't know what the hell I did wrong or did right. He says, I've been reading up on you. He said, you're an outstanding guy. He said, you outran all the guys in the races and whatever it was, physical type stuff. And he said, I understand that you were outstanding on guard duty. You made outstanding guard 3 times. I said, sir, excuse me, it was 4 times. Well, I have you down for 3 times, he says, right? So anyways, I end up, what he wanted to know, would I be his driver and his radio telephone operator? And, I don't want to swear, but right at that time I wanted to hug him. But I said, sir, can I think about it for a couple days? I didn't want him to think I was anxious, right? So I leave and I'm talking to a couple guys in the thing. He said, man, that's the best job here. He says, you get to eat first, and you don't get no KP, and no extra duties and all that stuff. So I ended up being his driver and his telephone operator for about 2.5 years, and we got along good. He liked to run, and running was one of my best sports, I guess. And every morning we'd have to run a mile. Well, you'd run a mile up a hill, about a half mile. You turn around and you come back. And he was a new guy in the barracks, so we turned around and he says, When we got to the top of the hill, we're slowly turning around, getting ready to come back. He said, if anybody's got anything left in the tank, you can go, right? I went by him like a jet. I'm in there, had a shower, and this is only a half mile. These guys, I'm already in the shower, getting ready to go to lunch. These guys are just coming in. And so he called me back in the office, and he turned around, he says, Mr. Brown, where'd you get them running skills from? I told him, I said, my uncle, Tarzan Brown, won the marathon in 1936 and 1939, and he ran in the Olympics in 1936. He said, oh no, it's in your blood. So we become the best of buddies, and him and I used to run it almost every morning, about a mile or so. But he says, you got to make sure you stay at least a step behind me. He didn't want me to go out past him, right? But he was a good guy. He treated me well. And he turned around and he tells me one day, he says, Mr. Brown, the major and I got a permit to do some deer hunting. And we want to know if you would take us Saturday morning, I'm off on Saturdays. He said, could you pick us up with a Jeep and take us out, to the range, and hopefully we can spot a deer or whatnot? I said, sure, I can do that because I'm a hunter, right? And so I pick them up, we go out, there's deer, Oklahoma's got deer running all over the place. And they're out there, I kept, sir, I see a deer right there, but everybody sees a deer. They're thinking they're gonna see a big deer standing up. Sometimes you only see the tail move, or you might just see his head move. You gotta be looking, right? So anyways, I spotted the deer, and they shot, and they hit nothing. So now it's getting near the end of the day, and I said, Colonel, can I shoot a deer for you? Well, you can try. Within 10 minutes, I shot him 2 big bucks. I got 2 weeks off, no duty. The stories went on when I was leaving. That was a year or so later, how they shot the deers, right? So that made me be good friends with him and the major, from that time on. And they treated me good, and I think I treated them, right back the very same way.
Now, you mentioned your Tarzan's nephew. On what side? Your mom's or your
That's
dad?
my mother's.
Your mother's
Everybody
brother?
gets, my mother is Tarzan's oldest sister. Okay. So Tarzan, he was quite a runner. He grew up in Potter Hill, and they ended up moving to Westerly. And his cousin was Chief Bunk Stanton. And Bunk Stanton was quite a runner during the early time when Tarzan was about 12, 13 years old. And he was running from Oak Street, running down to Charleston. And Tarzan saw him run by the house quite a few times, so he followed him one day. And they get all the way down to Charleston, and Tippy Salamino, who ends up being Tarzan's manager, was down there, right? So he turned around and he says, who's the young buck behind you? He said, oh, this is Ellison Myers Brown. He said he wants to be a runner. So Tippy couldn't deal with him, I guess, until he's 16 or 18. So he turns around and he tells him, he says, when you get 16 or 18, come back and see me, he says, and I can probably help you in your running. Sure enough, Tarzan comes back, and now the rest after that is kind of history. Sure. Tarzan won the Boston Marathon in 1936, and again 1939. He ended up going to the Olympics in 1936, and if you know Tarzan or ever heard any of his stories, if I tell you a story, she'll tell you a different one. You tell somebody, he's got more stories going around, you could shake his thick guy. We were told that he got over the Olympics, and Mr. Salamino, who was his manager, couldn't go with him. They had to be somebody that connected with the Olympics team. And they couldn't control Tarzan. Tarzan was kind of wild, I guess, right? So one of the stories is that Tarzan didn't train very well. I guess he was over there like about a month before the Olympics started. He didn't run like he should have been running. And then someone else said that, I don't know if you know what fast walkers are, guys that kind of walk in a real fast pace. Tarzan saw the guy walk by. He didn't have any shoes on, but he went out and walked right along with the guy, just being a clown type guy. Got blisters on his feet. These are different stories. I don't know which one's the true one. Then someone else turned around and said that he stayed up half the night drinking. And that sounds like might be the real story, because these Indians, they love to drink. And myself, personally, I never drank in my life. So anyways, the bottom line is that he also ran the marathon in 1939. He won that. And he was going to be in 1940 Olympics, but during the war, they canceled it, so he didn't get to run that second time. And they're saying that when he did run in the Olympics in 36, he got cramps at about 13, 15 miles out, and he sat down on the side of the road to start rubbing his leg. Some guy come by and try to help him. Just when one of the officials went by, it says because someone was helping him, he's disqualified, from the race. So He didn't finish the race, he didn't win, but he did represent the United States, and he ended up running the same year that Jesse Owens was there. Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals in 1936, and Hitler was the chancellor, or whatever they called him at that time. He was the head guy, but he wouldn't shake Jesse Owens' hands because he was a colored man, but he shook my Uncle Tarzan's hand. So now I'm born, and my name is Byron Owen Brown. And I'm jumping back in my story. So asking my mother, I said, Mom, where did I get that name Owen? She says, well, I'm named after my grandfather, her father. His name is Byron Otis Brown. And then he had a son, Byron Otis Brown. Then she married my father. His name is Raymond Otis Brown. And they have the first son, his name is Raymond Otis Brown Jr. He only lived to be a day or two old. He passed away. So they turned around and had a second son, and they named him Raymond Otis Brown III. She said, I got too many Otises in the family, so I'm naming you after Jesse Owens' last name. So I never told nobody that story before because I didn't know if that was good for me to say that because he was a colored guy, right? But he was a terrific runner, heck of an athlete. So that's my name, Byron Owen Brown instead of Byron Otis Brown. I have a nephew. He passed away in a car accident. His name was Byron Lewis Brown. And now I have a great-grandson, and his name is Byron Ogla Gonzalez. So we still got Browns, running within our family, but that oldest name has kind of disappeared, I guess. But again, Tarzan right now with Larry Hirsch, Joe Pellegrino, Jim Heary, Nick Patron, I believe. There's about 5 or 6 of us. We're trying to put together some funds. And when Tarzan ran the Boston Marathon in 1936, he was quite a bit ahead of all the runners. And they're going up this high hill, which they call it Heartbreak Hill now up in Boston, right? And Johnny Kelly was an outstanding runner back in them days. And Kelly catches up to Tarzan. And the first story that I read, and I believe way back, and he went by Tarzan, he patted him on the butt. And he says, you're doing good, young man, keep it up. The news story is saying that when he ran by Tarzan, he patted him on the shoulder. So I think the first story is the right story. And that instilled Tarzan to take off, and he won the race. So that's why they call that Heartbreak Hill. So we're trying to, right now, they have a statue of Johnny Kelly up in Boston. I think it's at the beginning of the race. So Larry, myself, and some of Tarzan's nieces and nephews, we're trying to get funds together and try to get a statue of Tarzan put up there with him. And hopefully him and Kelly can be together. We're hoping they would put it at Heartbreak Hill because that's the whole story when you talk about the Olympics. So we've been meeting now for about 2 years. We haven't gained too much ground. Supposedly Tarzan's nieces and nephews, they've talked to people in Boston, and it's a case where you just can't put a statue there. You got to talk to this congressman or that councilman. There's quite a chain of command. I guess the governor's got to be involved, and then who owns a piece of land's got to be involved. So it's going to be a long, dragged-out thing. I'll probably be dead and buried before it happens, but that's our goal, is to try to get a statue up there. Last year, Tarzan's grandson, Teddy Brown, he made a little statue thing of Tarzan in Wilcox Park. Prior to that, Lenny Pellegrino and a couple Spazzato brothers way back, they put a little plaque in the park that has Tarzan Brown's name on it, and they planted a tree right behind it. The stone, I guess when the guys were cutting the grass, they kept chipping the stone, so the stone was in pretty bad shape. But Tarzan's nephew, which is Teddy Brown, he's a mason, and he turned around and was able to take the stone and build it. It's probably about a foot or two up off the ground now. It's all cement, and stones all the way around it. So they had a ceremony there last year for him, and I got to be one of the guest speakers at that. But I was the main speaker when Pellegrino and that crew put the one in the park. Tarzan's wife was supposed to talk, but she's not a speaking type person.
Well, I know when Tarzan came home, he was a mason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's built stone walls all over.
Did my father's.
Yeah, a whole family stonemason. I'm the only guy that wasn't a stonemason. And I told him, I said, these guys, they didn't know how to charge people. And I'm your friend, so hey, give me $50. They were happy. The job was worth $200 at the time, right? But they didn't know that. So they lost money every job. And before they started the job, you always had to give them a couple bucks. Now they won't come back and tell them a couple bucks are gone, right? So their reputation got way out ahead of them. So most people, whenever they hire the Browns and the Spears, they're all Masons, they only give them a little bit of money up front, and they don't make sure there's some at the end. But they're stone workers all over town. Here, Charleston, Westerly, you name it's there.
So tell me how you met the wonderful Miss Pearl.
Mrs. Pearl, that's a great story.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, she has an older brother, and I had an older sister, and they were dating one another. And her brother, he was a good old guy for telling stories. He turned around, he tells my sister that his car broke down. The guy never owned a car, so he couldn't come down. He couldn't make it down to pick her up, go to the movies or go to the date or whatever. So she wanted to see him, so she said, geez, could you give me a ride up to Norwich? She comes from Norwich, right? I took her up there, and we're talking, and all of a sudden this pretty girl walks in the house, and the rest is history. She wouldn't let me go.
Wow.
So that's how I met her, through her brother. My sister and her brother, they went together. They finally separated. We ended up getting married 1960, and been married 64 years. Be 65 April coming up. We have 3 kids. We have a daughter named after her mother, Pearl, a son, Lonnie, and then we have a son, Lance. Lance is presently a police officer in Groton City. He's got about another 6 months to go, and he'll retire from over there. Our daughter, she's the main cook for the Narragansett elders. She does all the cooking for the tribe. Our son Lonnie works at EB, but he's a councilman on the Narragansett tribal rolls. He's been on there about 20 years now. Myself, I was a councilman for about 20-some years. I was the first councilman for about 10 years, I guess. And it was during my time that we got federally recognized, 1983. And a lot of it was through the testimony of my family. The Brown family is one of the main families within that tribe. I think there was myself and about 15 or 20 others that had to go up and testify. And one of the questions they had asked me, said, Mr. Brown, how did you become an Indian? How do you tie back to the old Narragansetts way back? When I got through talking to them guys after about an hour, they were shaking my hand and said, you're the guy we're looking for, right?
Wonderful.
And it went way back that when Roger Williams, before his time, but he's the one that wrote a lot of our history. And he turned around and he mentioned a chief by the name of Tascasut. And then it shows how his kids come down, and eventually it comes down to me. One of his grandsons, I say grandson, like he's here, but it's probably like 4 or 5 generations down, was Ninigret. Yeah. It's a big name here. Ninigret owned what is today is Watch Hill. Right, he has a statue down there as well. But he owned that property way back, and the history, when you read it back, that he could see Block Island, you could see a part of Long Island, and he could, anybody coming in to attack these people, he could see them from that high spot. We were taught that the Creator put us here to be the caretaker of Mother Earth. And we believe in the spirits, we believe at the ground, that's where we all come out of the ground, and that's where we're all going to go back into the ground. We were always told if you feel sick, you're down, things are not right with you, you take your shoes off and you walk on the grass. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's a good kind of a soothing type feeling. That's your mother. And then they said if you ever want to sit in your mother's lap, all you're going to do is sit on the ground. And people, I don't know, when I say them, people say, this guy's crazy. But I'm not. That's what we were taught. I believe in that. And we go to our cemeteries all the time. While we're up here, during the summer months, I go to my parents. All my family's buried up in the First Hopkinton Cemetery. And we go there at least 6, 7 times while we're up here, and that's about how long we're here that time. So something keeps bringing us back. My wife and I, we already have our gravestone up there, got a name, everything on it, except for the day that she passes away. I told her I'm going to outlive her, right? But no, all in all, we've had a good life. And Pearl, like I said, she gave me 3 good kids. She's not a big spender. She goes to the store. She kind of asks, should I buy this? Don't buy that. I don't go shopping with her. I used to shop with her, but I put stuff in the carriage that I shouldn't, I guess, right? So she does all the shopping. I don't bother her that way. She pays for the food, but I pay all the other bills.
So you missed a little spot. After you met Pearl and started your family, you did a little something for the town of Westerly.
Oh, yeah. Well, I ended up talking to Jack Wolfers. He was a police officer back at the time. I guess we met at one of the shopping stores. As soon as he turned around, Jack was in uniform. He went in to get something. So we stood out by his cruiser talking a little bit. He said, Benny, you ought to join the police department. He said, you'd fit right in with the guy. You know all the guys, Bob Carradillo, Steve Farrago, Louis Mazzucci, Jimmy Glucio, Nunzi Similari. So I went down, and it took a while, but I finally went down and I applied. And there was one opening at the time. This was in 1967. Yeah, 1967, about January. I filled out the application. There was one opening at that time, and I think there was 12 individuals that signed up, for that one position. And you had to go through certain tests at the Y and swimming, pull-ups, push-ups, and all this different thing. I killed them guys and that stuff. They couldn't beat me for that thing. So that was pretty simple. I think I'm the only guy that ever swam the pool. You had to swim, I think it was 10 laps within 10 minutes, and I was like 8 minutes or something. Some of the guys were still huff and puff. A lot of them didn't even make it. But anyways, it boiled down. By the time promotion come, it was like June. We started in January. 2 other guys had quit the police department, so now there was 3. But a lot of the guys messed up at the Y, or they didn't pass the written test or whatever. So it ended up there was 4 of us that was going for the 3 spots. One guy at the last minute, he had 3 or 4 kids. Paul Silva was his name. And he was working at EB at that time, making about $6,000, $7,000 a year, which was quite a bit of money then. So his wife turned around and told him, you got 3 kids, you can't afford to go to Westerly because $5,000 when we started, right? So he dropped out. So there was only 3 of us left. Ended up being Eugene Trombino and Joe Manfredi. So they finally promoted, put us, the 3 of us on the job. And I kind of got the shaft. I was I think Gene worked at Cottrell's. I don't know where Joe Manfredi worked, but they both had to give a 2-week notice before they could get off their jobs, I guess. I wasn't working. I was working with my brother doing stonework at the time. So I started, like, say, today. These guys come in a couple of weeks later. And I can remember going in, and the sergeant at that time, I don't want to mention his name because we never got along too well. He puts 3 badges up on the table. I think it was badge 16, 17, and 18. So he says, pick up a badge. I took up the lowest number. Oh, no, put that back, he says. I took the next, put that back. He made me take the last number. So again, I didn't know. I'm kind of young and trying to get in the job. I didn't want to create a problem with him. But I found out who he was later, and he found out who I was. So the bottom line was when Joe and Gene got on, they got to pick a shift, first, second shift. I got stuck on 3rd shift. And so that's the difference in the badge. The badge makes the difference, right? When it comes to promotion, that makes the difference, right? So they kind of put the zing to me, I guess. But when I went in the police department, I remember my dad telling me, like I'm talking to you right now, he said, Byron, don't let them guys change you. They sure in hell didn't change me, but I changed that whole police department. I turned around and I kept telling them, when do I go to school? And they kept telling me, you learn from the older guys. And I asked them a question, and they would get out of here, get out on the road or do like this. But they made a mistake. They sent me to college to learn. And I find out when people push you off that way, they don't know the answers. So they're embarrassed, So that's what I got. But I kept hounding them. Finally, a criminology school come up at URI. They said, Mr. Brown, you want to go to school? Go down there. I went down. That was great, right? Next month or so, there was a breathalyzer school. I went to the breathalyzer school. And just on and on, I got quite a few schools that I went to. Ended up, I went to Chief Galuccio, and I said, Chief, every time we go to court, we win half the cases, we lose half the cases. We can do better than that. Well, how are we going to do it? I said, you got to send these guys to school. So he finally told me, he says, I've been hearing this from you since the day you walked in here. He said, how are you going to get us to school? I went to URI. I talked with them down there because I had done the criminology school and them with them. And they said, Mr. Brown, it's going to be pretty expensive to send the people down. But we found out later the town of Westerly would pay for the fees. So I went down to Selva Regina. I talked with them. They said, Mr. Brown, we'd love to work with you in law enforcement. She says, we'll send the instructors to your police department. You don't have to come all the way to Newport. So that's how that's how the town got involved, with the understanding that you take the test, you take the classes. If you get a passing grade, the town pays. They pay for your books, they pay for everything. But if you flunk, you pay. So I got back to all the guys, and the thing was you had to have at least 15 individuals to take the class. So when it started out, almost all the guys on the police department took the classes, right? So that ended up, I know Doobie didn't go, Lombardo, Tommy did. Jerry Travis didn't go, but there was a few older guys that didn't go. They're getting ready to retire, so they didn't take the classes. But anyways, by the guys going to them classes, it kind of upped our pay grade. We got more when we did the contract. We was able to talk more because we went to school and whatnot, and ended up that all the guys got an associate's degree, and then we went back the following year, and we all ended up with a bachelor's degree. Not all, but most of them end up with a bachelor's degree. And then there was a few that end up with a doctor's degree. A couple of them took, I guess they're lawyers. Matt Reese and Steve DePerry both took the classes. So I think by me doing what I did, it kind of instilled this into these guys to move forward.
Sure did.
And ends up that about 9 guys that came in way after me, they all end up being a chief here or a chief in another department. So that education made the difference, right? And the big thing was, when I showed Galuccio the chart, he said, now I know where you're coming from, Byron. When we made arrest, Gene Trombino's son, got killed in an accident down on Route 1. Dave Smith's father got on Ward Avenue. He got hit by a car and he died up there. And there was drunk drivers involved in both cases. So I talked to the guys. We got to send guys to the breathalyzer school and make them certified so that they got that good record behind them, right? So Gene went down and Dave Smith went down, Matt Reese went down, and they become like professionals. And when anybody, like if I stopped somebody for drunk driving, we'd call Gene or Dave or Laurie in, they'd do the test. So now they're the ones going to testify. And it just got to the point, whenever they went to court, we never lost a case because the lawyers would say, we don't want to contest it. They knew who these guys were. Yeah. So Galuccio said, Byron, you did the right thing. I think that was a big thing that I put into the police department with that education department. And probably the biggest thing I did, I was on the negotiating team with Chief Similori at the time. He was, I think, a lieutenant. Captain Carradillo ended up being a detective at the time. The 3 of us went to Mr. Gervasini's house. He was a town manager and didn't know nothing about contracts. So we go to his house. He said, be there 5 o'clock. And I don't tell the story to be mean, but I just want to, kind of where we went with it. We got to his house, and I was always told, like today I got here a couple minutes before 10, I think, but they always say you come a little early and never come late. So we got there about 10 minutes early. He's in the middle of his dinner. He says, what are you guys doing here? Well, we come to negotiate the contract. Well, go in the other room and sit down, he said. We go in his living room and sit down. He finished his dinner. He comes in and kind of give us a hard way to go. So I turned around. I'm just a young guy at the time. I said, hey, Nunzi, Bobby, let's go. He's not going to negotiate. Get up, walk, sit down. They said, shut up. We sat down. Anyway, we talked back and forth, and finally he turned around and he says, you know what? I don't know the exact number, but he says, I'll give you guys $2 million. You go figure your budget out. So whenever we left, but one thing he told us, he didn't like Mario Selico. That's why he didn't want to talk with us. So we go back to the station. Who's at the desk standing there is Mario Selico. And he wants to know, how'd you guys make out? And I remember Bobby Carradillo grabbed Mario right by the shirt and shook him a little bit. He says, we almost didn't get nothing because of you. So we went back and forth. So Mario says, can I sit down? He was good with papers, right? He says, figures. He says, can I look at, what we got to put together? So we ended up doing, Mario and I did it. We did a zero-based budget. And what we had to find out, every year we'd buy 6 cruises. But a couple cruises probably had like 100 some thousand on, the others might have had 80. So we turned around and said, well, gee whiz, instead of buying 6 cruisers, we'll only buy 3. And let the other ones, as a spare type car, right? So now we had to also figure the gas for the car. We had to figure the guy's salary, the lights in the building. All this was involved in it, right? And we worked it out. And I think when I first went on, Bernie Stenhouse was the chief of police. He retired at about $2,000 a year. Meikle before him got $100,000. Probably got another $600-700. Got nothing. It was peanuts what these guys made. So now it comes to the time Jimmy Galuccio, he's going to retire. I think Jimmy got out probably at $16,000 a year, which was quite a bit of money at that time. So we turned around. Doobie was still there, Lombardo. So we turned around. We talked back and forth. So we was able to save a lot of money by only buying 3 cruises. And again, it had a dumb thing. When he was on second and third shift, he had to put 100 miles on during that 8-hour shift. So I was a smart guy. I used to get in my cruiser on second shift. I'd go right down to Charleston, go up all the way around 91 and come back, put the miles on there. Not supposed to be there, but I'm telling you, that's what I did. I got the miles on. So next thing you know, I'm telling stories out of school now. that Chief Galusho and Nunzio always rode together on third shift. So John Smith was on when I was on, right? So we liked it. We were young kids. We drove fast. So they turned around and said, look, put 150 miles on, but only claim the 100, and they could claim the other 50 on their thing, so they could sleep, right? So I'm telling stories I shouldn't tell. But anyways, the bottom line was it worked out with our budget. And we was able to put the word in there that when you're retirement, your spouse comes under the same insurance that we have. And they didn't catch that word, right? So my wife gets the same insurance that I get. And they're still the older guys, a lot of them, they still salute me. Byron, I don't know how you ever got that in there. I said, well, I can't take all the credit. Mario was there with me, right? We put them words together. So anyways, we got to talk with a lot of other departments. Westerly's probably got one of the best contracts in town. And I think what it was, the only thing we pay for is $2 for a prescription. And the rest is all, I had a shoulder operation, a couple $100,000. I didn't pay nothing.
No, I know you worked very hard when you were with the department, and you retired at the rank of lieutenant, correct?
Right.
That was quite an achievement.
Well, that was. You know, that was the goal that I set for myself when I went on, Tom. And I told me there's no way in hell they're going to make me the chief. But I did interview for the chief's position. And Larry Hirsch was one of the guys doing the interview. And I didn't know Larry that well at the time. And he turned around and he said, Byron, you killed them guys. You know, Similari, Caradio, Frago didn't take the test. Prodiger. There was about 5 or 6 of them took the test. He said, you had the best answers. But they wasn't going to put me up on top, right? So I got out as lieutenant. I'm happy that I'm still here. These guys are all gone.
Yeah. And so now in your retirement at 85, you're still not retired.
No.
I understand you and Pro keep busy?
Oh, we do. Yeah. You know, I just can't sit in the house. We have a home in Florida, and we go down for 4 or 5 months, and we're leaving this year, December 9th. We go to the gym 3 days a week while we're down there, and we play golf 3 days a week. And then we got a day or so we just kind of sit in the home, kind of relax. So I think we're at because we stay active. You just can't sit in a chair all day and, you know, just let time fly by on you.
And here you're taking time for this interview in between mowing lawns and raking leaves.
Yeah, we did a couple yesterday. Like one of the guys, I'm a pretty good golfer. And the group that we played in, I think there was 25, the top 25 teams at the end of the season. They have like a banquet type thing. And within the top 25, you get to pick, we play 25 courses. Each course gives a free gift for 4 players to play. So we end up taking Wiquipaug this year to play Wiquipaug. So one of the guys that plays with us, he's out in Mexico right now. So the guy that's got the tickets for us, he turned around and said, geez, I got the 4 tickets, but he checked down at Wiquipaug and they turned around and said, you got to use the tickets between now and December 31st, or they're not going to honor them for next year before they used to honor them, right? And you get a free card. So the one guy said, geez, I'm out of state, I'm not coming back till the first of the year. So I turned around and I told the guy, I says, well, he kept telling me all the time, he says, Byron, you do lawn business. He says, do you clean up people's leaves in their yards? I said, yeah, we do a little bit of everything, right? So he's down there, he emailed me back, he said, Byron, why don't you take my ticket and you and Pearl go play Wiquipaug? And he says, because I'm not going to be here in time. So in the Indian world that I come from, if somebody gives you something, you're supposed to give something back. So I told Pearl, I said, Pearl, you know what we'll do? We'll go down and we'll take care of his leaves for him, right? So we're down here working yesterday, and on my house I have alarms, you know, cameras. So as soon as I walked up to his house, I see the camera on his house. So we're doing the leaves and got the leaves all squared away. We're getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden, Pearl, Pearl, this voice comes over the box, right? And they're down in Mexico someplace. They're in the beach. But she says her buzzer went off on her phone, right? So she called to Pearl. She says, what are you guys doing in my yard? She says, my husband will tell you. But she saw it, but she was smart because she saw us earlier. But she waited till we finished and then to say, what are you doing in my yard? So I told her, I said, no, your husband, he wrote me back. I sent him an email. I says, if you can't go, I said, I'll take your ticket. Pearl and I will go play golf together. But I says, in return, I said, I'll take care of your leaves. But he didn't tell his wife, right? So she was happy. She said, when are you leaving? I said, we're leaving December 9th. Well, they're going to be home by that time. Last time we did another favor for them. We took them to a tournament and paid their fare, right? They took us down to the Westerly Yacht Club. They fed us a dinner. They wanted to pay us back, right? Well, you're Indian and she's part Indian too. So we got a meal. Maybe we'll get another meal out of it, right? So the leaves are all cleared away. But I told her, I said, tomorrow they'll be right back there again. But I think we paid for the ticket that we got by doing her lawn. We'll probably do it again before we go.
That's wonderful. Well, at 85, you've had a great life, full of family and heritage and your career, both military and through the police department. What would be your philosophy on Byron Brown?
You know, I tell everybody that I was blessed, Tom. Definitely blessed. My brothers and sisters, they all had, my father was deaf in one ear, blind in another eye. So between the ears and the eyes, my sister and her brother, they both were blind. And we had to like kind of take care of them all through life. And we did this. And they've all passed away. I got two older sisters. One's 93 years old. The other one's 88 years old. And one lives in Hawaii. The other lives here in the Bradford area. And the one that's 93, she's still in good shape, good health. Every year they have contest dances amongst the different local tribes, Mohegans and Mashantucket over here, Foxwood. And my sister wins the prizes every year at 93 years old. I win it in the men's division. My wife gets second place. And she still says she beats my sister, but they're not going to let her beat her because she's older, right? So we're very still competitive, you know, whatever we do. I've taught Indian dances to almost the whole groups all in this New England area. I was very fortunate. I was considered a world champion fancy war dancer. When I was in Oklahoma, I ended up met with the Sioux and the Cheyenne, you name all the tribes from West, and I learned all their dances. I taught them some of my dances. And I got back, and again, like I say, I was blessed. I represented the Narragansett tribe, and I got a picture of 5 of my cousins. We went through Foxwood. They paid big money. I think there was 300 Indians that went all together, but it was myself and my niece and nephews that got to, you know, represent the Narragansett tribe. We performed at the Goodwill Games in 1994 in Russia. We danced in Poland. We danced in Sweden, and we danced in Finland. And there was quite a story on it. Like I said, I got the picture of us after we got back. They took the picture of us. So I traveled all over. I danced in every New England state. Won championships, from the time I was 16 right up until probably I was 55 or 60. But that was my heart, you know, to be a dancer. And my first Indian name when I was small was Little Buffalo. And we didn't have no buffaloes here, but I had a hard head. And we do crazy things amongst Indian people, right? And go down and visit with Tarzan, my Uncle Spears, and that. And they always had a Indian moving out, you know, doing the arm test, who's got the strongest arm and all that stuff. And they turned around and said, "Who's got the hardest head?" And I walked up to him, took my head, and whacked right into my Uncle Tarzan's head, right? Damn, he said, "That boy's got banged my head right into the other uncle. I got a nickel. You know, I had the hottest head." So that's how Buffalo got into that one. But as I got older, I become the good dancer. My mother says, "You're not Little Buffalo no more." He says, "You're Dancing Cloud." So that was my Indian name until probably 10, 15 years ago. And now, right now, my name is Chief Sachem Sunrise. I've come up. I got a great-grandson, Byron, who's my first name. His name is Rising Sun. And we're from the Sun family and the Turtle clan. And them other things that you always see. I got that turtle whenever I go. That's with me. The turtles live a long life. They don't bother anybody. They're quiet. They're peaceful. I try to be that same, you know, type of person, to be quiet. And I think in my house I probably got about 7 or 8 different turtles, statues, or whatever they might be. But it's the spotted turtle, the Narragansett. They're the snap turtle. That's the worst turtle going. That sucker's a mean-looking thing. It just looks clean. But a sun turtle. I'm playing golf at Wood River probably 20 years ago. And I'm going along the 5th fairway, which is a long fire that leads to the river behind a big chicken coop they got up there. Don't this little baby turtle go crawling right across in front of me? It's a spotted turtle. And I picked it up. I took it home. I kept it for about a week, but it wouldn't eat. I kept trying to put bugs in there, different things. So I took it back. And what a lot of people do, they'll see a turtle on the road going across. They'll stop. They'll pick it up and put him on the side of the road. But you got to put him the way he's walking. Like he's heading this way. They pick him up and put him on the other side. Now he's going to come back and do. Now he get hit with a car, right? But anyways, I took that turtle back, and I think that I was blessed, you know, with the turtles. A lot of turtles are in this area, and most of the time you don't see them. If you happen to ride by in a car, you might see them on a pond or something, on a branch of a tree hanging over the water. But they don't bother anybody. And that's the way the Indians were. The Indians were quiet, they didn't bother anybody, and they lived in harmony with Mother Earth and whatever was around them. They got the wild mushrooms, they had the berries, they had the corn, they had the beans, they had the squash, all their gardens. And these were all things that made us who we are today, I believe. And our place was to help others. Don't just, you're on the council, you're the chief, you're supposed to reach down and pick up the people that's poor.
Can you still maintain the title of Chief Sachem?
Yeah, well, I'm the chief of the Wiquipaug Eastern Pequot tribe. My mother is Pequot Narragansett. My father's Pequot Narragansett. My father was born in Stonington, Connecticut. So I took his side of the family, and that's where I'm at right now. But when you go way back in the history, I think it's on the chart that Ninigret too marries the Pequot squaw, and she ends up. Well, that's quite a story. That anyway, he marries this. He's married about 5 times. Chiefs can have as many wives as they can afford, right? So he marries Uskaduk is her name. Mary Uskaduk. He marries Mary, and the story, I don't think I have it with me, but the story is that they had 2 sons together, and they slept out in campsites around the fire, right? And the chief wakes up in the morning, and his wife Uskaduk is laying next to another Indian. So he figures that they fooled around during the night, so he cut a couple scars in her face and sent her back to Connecticut. That shows adultery, right? So that whole story, that's a written story. And but she ends up being my grandmother way back. So my father comes out of that side. My mother comes out of Ninigret side. So between the two, my mother and father, basically they're cousins to one another, but way back, many generations. So right now, Wiquipaug, that's the way we're going. We went down to BIA in 2020, filed for federal recognition. We have a number, I think it's like 328 is our number. But a lot of tribes have backed away. We don't have the money. You got to pay people to get federally recognized. If you don't have the right backer, it's not going to work. And Mashantucket was lucky, and Mohegan, they both had a big backer that knew the right politicians down in Washington, so that's how they got federally recognized. They didn't prove themselves going back that this is their grandmother coming down that line. We can prove that. We got all that data. But they paid the right people, and they got in, so I don't think you need another casino. 2's enough, probably too many. So our chance to getting federally recognized is slim right now, but we're still working on it. So that's the way I'm following is my father's side, which is the Wiquipaug Eastern Pequots. There's the Eastern Pequots and the Pawcatuck Eastern Pequots. They both got federally recognized, but we petitioned against them, and the town of North Stonington, Preston, Legend, they all went against them. The state of Connecticut went against them, so they took the federal recognition away. But there's something on the books right now, just within this last month, the first part of September, the bigwigs in Washington are supposed to be talking. They might give the groups that made it and then got shot down, they might get a shot to move forward. So I'm in talks right now with the Eastern and the Pawcatuck. And I told them, I said, you guys ain't going nowhere if Byron Brown's group family is not involved. So I got a meeting in 2 weeks with their chairman. They just got a new chairman over there now. And I don't know where it's going to go, but they had the meeting in Washington, but there won't be a decision for 6 months. So
Best of luck on that.
Yeah.
So 85 years in Westerly, just to close out this interview, some of your fondest memories, some of the fondest people that you've come across in your 85 years here.
I got to put it all right back to the families that I grew up with in the village of White Rock. I don't know where you grew up, but wherever you grew up, there's certain kids you hung around with all your life. They kind of help develop you. And I grew up with a bunch of real good kids in the village of White Rock. They have what they call a pecking order. If you see chickens, we always had chickens, and there's always one rooster that kind of is over all the rest, or there's a hen that's kind of the boss. And that was me. I kind of become like, I think, a leader at an early life. I signed him up. In the head of White Rock store up there, Markoff store in White Rock. And I put a little note on a board. Anybody that wants to play baseball, sign this list, right? Anybody who wants to play basketball, sign this list. And we had a good bunch of kids. And what it did, it kept them out of trouble. And the parents knew, well, if you're hanging around with Benny Brown and you're playing sports, you're not getting in trouble. So it did good. There was a couple guys that didn't play, and they did get in trouble. But anyways, that village of White Rock, I think they kind of mold me as to who I am today. I think it was about, last year. I'm a veteran from Vietnam era war, right? And I think there was 12 guys that went to school with me or lived with me in the village of White Rock. And out of the 12, I think there's 8 of them that they passed away. And I was able to go to their family members now and get their DD 214 forms. And I got their names on a wall in the park this past year.
Nice.
We're working on 2 or 3 more to get in now that I didn't have prior. So these guys made me, and I'm trying to repay them back, you know, although they're gone. They kept me out of trouble. I think I kept them out of trouble. The worst thing I can think that we did, we used to get together and go to, a quarter is what it cost. I was telling you to go to the movies, right? Either Central over in Pawcatuck or United Theater in Westerly. When we're walking home, we used to throw stones at the light bulbs. That's the worst thing I think that we did. And one kid, he just passed away this past year back in March. And I had just written to him 2 days, I'm talking to him like I'm talking to you right now. 2 days later, he passed away. He had the COVID and he didn't really get over it, knocked him down. And he was the best stone thrower. Man, he'd knock out lights left and right. But that was the worst thing I think we did as a kid. But I got to go back to the kids that I grew up with in White Rock. Then again, I went to the police department. I met some nice guys on there. They helped keep me in check. I think I helped them in check. Had great coaches all the way through sports. I think sport, again, would be a strong thing that kept me in line from getting in trouble. Because when I was little, in the Little League, I never forgot it. They had a slogan, they called it, "Keeping boys in sports keeps them out of court." And that's what was always said before when the season started. And my son, Lonnie, I think there was 3 or 4 kids, they played in White Rock Little League. I gave them that thing to read. They read it, 3 or 4 of them read it together. Shortly after that, the parents got together and said, "That's not fair because you're knocking kids down. They're going to get in trouble if they don't play sports. So they can't use that anymore. It's gone." No, that's so true. And most of them kids that play sports, they got a coach who tell them, like, you know, especially in high school, if you don't keep your grades up, you're off the team, right? You get in trouble, you're off the team. So I think that the school, the coaches, they kind of helped make me who I was. I coached Little League baseball for 10 years. Coached CYO basketball for 10 years. I coached women's softball for 10 years. This is all things that I was told when you go in the police department, you're supposed to give back to the community. So I did by doing all these services to them. I played YMCA basketball. They didn't call it the most valuable player, but it was a slow break league. They turn around and they says, "Mr. Brown," Larry Vitolino was young at the time, but they didn't have enough guys. They didn't have 30 guys to make the team up, so they let Larry play. Larry would steal the ball from all the guys, right? And so I joined that league that year, and Larry started out his team. He was stealing the ball away from these older guys, right? So they finally put me into the thing, and Larry said, "I'll take him. I got this guy." So I'm come dribbling down the court, right? And Larry's in front of me jumping back and forth. So I went hard to my right. Larry goes running. I threw the ball behind my back and went in the left hand, made a layup. Joe Kajuri was there and a lot of guys for the next thing. They said right away, "That's Mr. Slow Break Clean." So I got the outstanding trophy, you know, for that year. And next year, Larry's one of the captains on the team. They had guys that were 6'5", 6'6". Who'd he pick first? Byron Brown. He didn't want to play against me, right? Awesome. But Larry and I played a lot together. He was a good player out there. He was short, but he had a jump shot that he'd walk right, dribble up to you, but then he'd jump backwards and shoot it. So most guys, they couldn't block his shot. But once he got the ball, he didn't get it back. He was going to shoot it. Him and Billy Nardone, I played with them guys for years, and once you threw the ball to them, they're going to shoot that basketball. But I had fun. I had fun playing with the guys. There's just so many that's made my life, you know, who I am today. I'm not taking credit just for myself, but
Well, that's what community means,
yeah.
really.
Yeah. Well, Wesley's been good to me. I couldn't knock him at all.
Now today you've got Pearl to keep you in line.
Oh yeah, she does. She thinks she's the boss of my job. Tell her, how many times have I fired you? I fired her.